Hey everyone, I'm Pion and welcome to Pion's Perspective. Today we're gonna talk about Rainbow Six Siege's business model. So Rainbow Six Siege is a full price release with microtransactions. That naturally raises a lot of discussions and I want to join the discussion with this video, so let's get started. So as I said, it's a full price release, so $60, 60 euros or whatever your regional equivalent is. However, there are microtransactions and you can buy two things with those microtransactions. Weapon skins and renown boosts. Renown is the free currency in the game you get for playing and you use for unlocking weapon attachments and operators, which are the characters in the game. And you can buy renown boosts for real money to significantly increase your renown gain, so you speed up the progression. Also, there's a future DLC plan we will talk about later. Let's get started though. Is this a fair business model or not? Well, to answer this question, we have to talk first about what is a fair business model in general. Obviously, that's highly subjective. A lot of people will say day one DLC is always evil. Microtransactions in a free-to-play game, always evil. And in most cases, I agree with those people, because in most cases, those things are bad. But I think it's oversimplifying the problem a little bit, and I personally have a different stand on that thing. So I want to share that opinion. Obviously, you're allowed to disagree with that opinion, but this video is about my opinion. So I'm going to talk about my opinion, what I think is fair. And I think that every publisher has the right to sell their game however they want. If they want to sell a $60 game without any extras, that's okay. If they want to sell a $30 game with a $30 DLC, that's okay. If they want to sell a $60 game with a $15 DLC and microtransactions, that's okay. If they do want to do something crazy, and want to sell their game in 3 parts, each for $30, in total $90, and you can buy them in every combination, I'm okay. As long all those things follow the following rule, which is every combination of parts of the game you can purchase should be a complete experience. So what does this mean? Well, this means mainly that your core game, if you just buy the base game without any DLC, without paying for any microtransaction, without pre-order bonus or any of that nonsense, you still get a complete and full experience worth the asking price. And that, the conclusion from that is that every piece of DLC or extra content that you can buy in addition to the base game must not cut out anything important from the core game. So let's take a look at an example. Mass Effect 3, there was a Prothean DLC which unlocked a new NPC for you, for your ship, for your crew. And this NPC was from the race Prothean. And Protheans are dead in this universe, and they're super important for the story for the universe though. So this NPC affected the story and the whole universe of the whole Mass Effect trilogy. So for all 3 games, this one character was really, really, really important, and they cut it out in an extra DLC because they know they can make money like that. And that's an example that violates this rule. So this is not good or fair DLC in my opinion. Another example, more recent, Warhammer Total War. They sell the Chaos Warriors as an DLC pack or pre-order bonus. And again, Chaos Warriors are fundamental to the Warhammer universe, and not having them as a core race in the base game is, in my opinion, cutting something out of the game and leaving a game not being a complete and full experience. So, let's take a look at Rainbow Six Siege. Does this rule apply or not? Is it fair or not? Well, the base game costs $60, as I said earlier. Is it a complete and full experience? I think it is. The core gameplay, or the main game mode, is the multiplayer. And the multiplayer is very well designed, very well rounded out. It has a decent amount of variation with 10 maps and 20 operators. And I think it's a very, very complete and full experience. Some people will say that 10 maps and 20 operators are not enough. And I understand that. However, for me personally, the content there already is basically too much for me. So 20 operators, well, for mainly the maps, like 10 maps is too much for me already right now. However, that might just be me being bad at video games. So I understand if you say that. However, I still think that the game is a complete experience. You can argue that it's not worth the asking price, because that's, again, highly, highly subjective. Like, you can say, no, without a proper single-player campaign and with only 10 maps, that's not enough for me to pay $60. But as I said, that's really, really highly subjective, and I think you have to differentiate between is the game worth the asking price and is it a full and complete experience. And I think it is a complete experience. There's nothing cut out. Well, there is something, but not at first glance. I will talk about that in a moment. But at first glance, this seems like a very complete and full experience. So I'm okay with the base game. let's get on to weapon skins. Weapon skins, I'm totally fine with. It's totally okay to have weapon skins. They do not affect the game at all. They do not take anything away. If you want to buy the weapon skin, you can do so. If you don't want to buy it, you don't lose anything. You don't miss out on anything. Your core game is still your core game. You could make a point that weapon skins have a negative effect on the game by being there, because most of them look very unrealistic, and they might break immersion a little bit if it looks like your opponent shot you with a toy. But I think that's not too big of a deal. Yeah, I don't know. It would obviously be nice to have those weapon skins unlocked for free via progression or something like that. But again, I think it's overall it's pretty fair. Like, weapon skins are not a big deal. Are they worth the asking price? Again, highly subjective, especially for skins, because it's really hard to make a price for something cosmetic in a game. Like, how do you judge that? What is a good price and what not? So, again, highly subjective, but overall, weapon skins are very fair in my opinion. Let's get to the part I don't like. Renown boosts. So I think renown boosts are a ridiculously unfair business model. I don't think they impact the game too much right now, but they are unfair on core design. I will go into detail a little bit about the impact in a moment. But let's talk first why I think renown boosts are unfair. So renown boosts give Ubisoft an incentive to make the progression system slower and worse than it should be, or it has to be. So there's an argument, like having a progression. Some people say that there should be no progression system at all. All operators and weapon attachments should be unlocked from the start. And I understand where they're coming from, but after all, it's a core design decision, a game design decision. Do you want a progression system or not? Because both decisions have advantages and disadvantages. Because the advantage of a progression system is that it's rewarding for a lot of people. Not like this does not affect everyone, and but for some people it's very rewarding, and it's good to have a reward for playing the game. And the other thing is that you do not want to overwhelm new players with too many operators. Again, both things do only affect some people and not all people. And the people who are not affected by this at all are usually the ones who say, I want to have everything unlocked from the start. And that's why I understand where they're coming from, because they don't care for that stuff. But for some people, a progression system is a nice thing, if paced well. And that's what I mentioned earlier. I think renown boosts make the progression system, or give Ubisoft a reason to make the progression system slower than it should be. And I think the progression system without renown boosts could be way better than it is right now. Because, first of all, I think all weapon attachments should be completely unlocked from the beginning. There's no reason to gate weapon attachments behind the progression system. There's no reasonable reason. Is that a word? I don't know. There's no good reason for it, in my opinion. And I think operators are fine behind the progression system because, as I said, you don't want to overwhelm new players and stuff like that, and you want to unlock new stuff and new content. You cannot play all operators from the beginning anyway. Like, you only play one per match, so you have, like, it doesn't make sense to have, or it doesn't benefit you to have all of them unlocked. Obviously, you have the choice, so yeah, but you can choose which one you unlock. So overall, I think it's okay to have an unlock system for the operators. I think, though, it could be a little quicker. It could be a little faster. However, if you don't have to pay for weapon attachments, you have a little bit more spare renowns, so that would speed it up already. But it could still be a little slow, especially in the end, where you have the experience with all the operators already, and you want more operators, you want to unlock them all, but however, they get more expensive, and it will take you longer to unlock all of them. So that's the thing. Without renown boosts, we could have a way better progression system where we do not have to pay for weapon attachments, and where we could unlock operators quickly. And that's the thing here. And let's now talk about how much does this affect the game, because a lot of people say, it's not that bad, it doesn't really affect me, and that's true. Most people are not too much affected by it. Everyone is affected, but most people who play a lot of the game are only affected very minor, because they will unlock everything eventually anyway, probably in a reasonable time as well, because they play so much. However, they're still affected because they could unlock it quicker, and that would obviously be better for them, probably. So it still affects them, but it doesn't affect them much. It affects some people very heavily, though, and that are those people who do not play the game too much, who don't have the time because they're have a job and a family and whatever, and only play a few hours per week. And if those people want to get the full experience, well, $60 is not enough, and that's the point here. Renown boosts convolute price of the base game. They think they buy the full experience with all the contents, 10 maps, 20 operators, and yada yada yada, for $60. But in reality, to get the full experience, they have to buy a few renown boosts, because if they don't, it will take them years to unlock all the operators and all the content. And that's the problem I was talking about earlier. So I think renown boosts are bad. And if you say renown boosts do not affect the game at all, then think about it. Why did Ubisoft put them in the game? Because they think some people will buy them. Because they designed the progression system in a way that they think some people will buy renown boosts. And that's the reason they're in the game. And that's the reason why I think they are unfair from the business point of view. Okay, let's talk about something positive after all that harsh words, all those harsh words. The future DLC, because I think the future DLC plan is amazing. It's really, really good from a consumer point of view, and more games should adapt it. It's really, really great. So there are 4 DLCs planned over the course of the next year, and every DLC will include 1 free map for everyone. You don't have to pay for that, and 2 operators, which you can either unlock via $5 or via 20. Not via. You can unlock them for $5, or you can unlock them for 25,000 renown. And that's really good. And there are some weapon skins, but I do not care too much for them. As I said earlier, who is interested in them can buy them, and who is not missing much. So there we go. Why do I think this is amazing? Well, first, free maps is good because you do not split the community, which is obviously really, really important for a multiplayer-focused game. Second, the operators. Really, really good way to get them in there. So extra content, you pay for it, obviously, $5. However, you can make the argument in a game like this that if some people cannot get those operators because they don't want to pay for them, they are at a strategical disadvantage because they cannot choose from all the operators. And obviously that might be a problem on a competitive level. That's not too big of a deal on a casual level, but on a competitive level. And that's a really interesting thing about this, because people on a casual level, for them it's not important to have the operators, but it can be nice because they like the choice, they like the operators, whatever. And if they want them, they pay for them and get them extra. But it's not fundamental for them to have them. However, if you're playing on a competitive level, it's fundamental to have them, to have this strategic choice and to have all the operators available. But if you're playing on a competitive level, you probably play the game so much that at the time the operators are released, you will have those 50,000 renown saved up, and you can just buy them for free for renown, just out of the batch, right off the batch. So I think this is the perfect way for a game like this to implement future DLC. It's amazing. I'm really proud of Ubisoft they decided to have this DLC plan. It's really, really good. There's one argument some people make. They say those are 4 maps and 8 operators, and that comes back to the argument earlier to the is the core game worth the base price? Those 4 maps and 8 operators should be in the base game already, because the base game doesn't have enough content, and with those 4 maps and 8 operators more, it would have enough content. And again, that's highly subjective. If you are okay with the base game, if you think the base game is worth the asking price, then the future DLC is amazing and it's just additional stuff for you. Just free maps and potentially a few free operators, maybe all of them if you play enough. And if you do not play enough, they are, I think, at a reasonable price, but at $5 as well. So that's really good. If you obviously don't think the core game is worth the asking price, well, then the DLC is just like filling the hole a little bit, I guess. But that's a different topic, or it's not a different topic, but that's highly subjective, and that's your opinion, and that's okay if people think so. And I think those people should just not buy the game. They cannot complain. Like I don't say you should. It's not. I didn't mean it like just don't buy the game if you're not okay with that. It's okay to raise your concern. It's actually important to raise your concerns, because that gives feedback to the publisher and the developer, and that's important to form for future games. But a lot of people are okay with the pricing, and for those people, the future DLC plan is amazing. So let's sum it up, shall we? Most of the business model of the game is pretty good and pretty fair in my opinion. The core game is a full and complete experience. It would be nice to have multiplayer, but that doesn't take away from the game. Obviously there's something missing, quote unquote, but it doesn't take away from the game, which is actually multiplayer. The single player is just not a game. This would be an extra game, and it's not in there, and other games have, so you could argue it's too expensive for the asking price. But as I said, that's highly subjective, and if you play more than whatever, like if you play hundreds of hours of this game, then $60 it's a fair price. Simple as that. So I think most of the business model is okay. The core game is full and complete experience. The weapon skins do not affect the game. The future DLC plan is amazing. There's one thing though, there's one caveat I have, and that's the renown boosts. I really don't like them to be in there. However, I'm not gonna be that guy that says, don't buy the game, there are microtransactions. I'm not gonna be that guy. Obviously, if you want to boycott the game because there are microtransactions, that's good. Like, all power to you. That's really good. I respect you for doing that. However, I don't expect anyone to do that. So here's what I would, because, well, I should explain that probably. I don't expect anyone to do that, because if you like the game, and you're just not too happy with the business model, with the renown boost, you probably still want to buy the game because you like it. So I got the game for free with my graphics card, but if I would have to buy it, I probably would have bought it anyway. Even though I say renown boosts are bad, because I really like the game and I want to play it, so I buy it. That makes sense on personal, like from personal perspective, right? It would be unreasonable not to buy something you really want and where you think you want to spend that money to play it, just to boycott it. That's so. Again, I'm not gonna be this guy that say, "Oh, nobody should buy this game." What I'm gonna say though is, oops, that was one too far. Do not buy any renown boost if you can afford it. If you can not afford it, if you can avoid it. If you don't have to buy any renown boosts, please do not. Because maybe we can send a signal to Ubisoft like this, that a lot of people, maybe not all, because some people will disagree, but I think a lot of people do not want a progression system like that with renown boost microtransactions in a game like this. And I think maybe we can send a signal to Ubisoft by just not buying those freaking boosts. Again, if you're in that situation that you only play the game for a few hours per week, and you really want all those operators unlocked, and you think you have the expendable income to afford a renown boost, I'm okay with that. Do it. But if you can somehow avoid it, please do not buy the boosts. Please, because if you do, you send Ubisoft a signal, oh, it works. They buy them. Okay, let's put them in the next game as well. And maybe make the progression system a little grindier, even even more grindy, to sell even more boosts, or make the boost more expensive or something like that. So if you can avoid it, don't buy boosts. That's my closing statement here. So, yeah. Obviously, that's all my opinion. If you disagree, feel free to comment below, or if you agree as well, comment below in the YouTube comments and tell me what you think about this topic, because I'm really interested in other people's opinion on this as well. Overall, though, well, not overall. What? That was pointless words, Pion. What are you doing? So, feel free to comment and tell me what you think. And I thank you a lot for watching. Because I really appreciate it. If you like or dislike the video, feel free to press the like or dislike button. Always have fun, and see you next time.